Richard. Oh, wow. Wow.
It was, it was a lot of things. It was the little boy that watched his father beat up his mother. It's all of that just bubbled up in that moment.
Will Smith is one of the most famous actors in Hollywood, but his life has been full of both amazing successes and really hard times. His real name is Willard Carroll Smith Jr., and he was born on September 25, 1968, in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. He grew up with his older sister Pamela and younger twin siblings Harry and Ellen. His dad worked fixing refrigerators and his mom worked at a school. From the outside, they looked like a normal middle-class family, but inside their home, things were scary and painful. Will's dad had a bad temper and sometimes got violent. When Will was only 9 years old, he watched his father hit his mother, and he felt terrible because he was too scared to help her. This moment hurt him so much that it affected him for the rest of his life. He always felt like a coward because he didn't protect his mom. To deal with the pain and fear at home, Will learned to be funny and make people laugh. He discovered that if he could make his family laugh, maybe the fighting would stop. But really, he was just hiding his hurt feelings behind jokes and smiles. His parents eventually got divorced when he was a teenager, which made him feel even worse because he had promised himself he would never let his family break apart like his parents did. As a teenager, Will started making music with his friend Jeffrey Towns, who went by DJ Jazzy Jeff. Together they were called DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince. They made fun, clean rap music that parents actually liked, which was different from other rap music at the time. In 1989, when Will was 20, they won the first ever Grammy Award for Best Rap Performance for their song, Parents Just Don't Understand. This should have been the happiest moment of his life. But many serious rappers didn't respect him because they thought his music was too soft and commercial. Even though he was successful, Will didn't know how to handle money. He spent it on expensive cars, jewelry, and parties. By the time he was 21, he owed the government millions of dollars in taxes and was completely broke. All his fancy stuff was taken away, and he went from being rich and famous to having nothing. This taught him a hard lesson about being responsible with money. Just when things looked hopeless, something amazing happened. The famous music producer Quincy Jones saw Will at a party and asked him to audition for a TV show right there on the spot. Even though Will wasn't prepared and didn't have a script, he performed anyway and got the job. This became The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, the TV show that made him a household name. The show was about a teenager from Philadelphia who moves in with his rich relatives in California, which wasn't too different from Will's real life. The show was a huge hit and ran for 6 years, making Will one of the most popular actors on TV. After the show ended, Will wanted to become a movie star. He starred in action movies like Bad Boys and Independence Day, where he played heroes who saved the world.
He was funny, cool, and charming, and audiences loved him. Movies like Men in Black and Enemy of the State made him one of the biggest movie stars in the world. But Will wanted to show he could do more than just action and comedy. He took on serious roles like playing the famous boxer Muhammad Ali in the movie Ali. To prepare for this role, Will had to train like a real boxer for months. He worked out constantly, learned how to box, and even changed the way he talked to sound like Ali. The training was so hard it nearly broke him, but his performance was so good that he was nominated for an Academy Award. Then he starred in The Pursuit of Happyness, where he played a father struggling with poverty while trying to take care of his son. This role was very personal for Will because he remembered his own childhood fears about family and protection. When he cried in the movie, those weren't just acting tears. They came from real pain he had carried since he was a little boy. He was nominated for another Oscar for this performance. Will's personal life was complicated too. In 1992, he married actress Sherry Zampino, and they had a son named Trey. Will was so happy to be a father and promised himself he would be better than his own dad. But being a new father while also being a huge star was really hard. He was always traveling for work and missed important family moments. By 1995, his marriage fell apart, and he and Sherry got divorced. This broke Will's heart because he had sworn he would never let his family break up like his parents did. The worst part was that his son Trey started pulling away from him, and Will felt like he was failing as a father, just like he had failed as a husband. In 1997, Will married actress Jada Pinkett, and they seemed like the perfect Hollywood couple. They had 2 children together, Jaden in 1998 and Willow in 2000. For a while, everything seemed perfect. Will had his career, a beautiful family, and was living his dream. But even this marriage had problems. In 2020, Jada admitted on her talk show that she had a relationship with another man during a time when she and Will were separated. This was embarrassing and painful for Will, especially because it happened in front of millions of people watching TV. The truth was that Will and Jada had been living apart since 2016, even though they were still married. Their relationship was complicated, and they both made mistakes that hurt each other. During this time, Will also had to deal with his father getting sick. In 2016, his dad was diagnosed with cancer and only had a few months to live. This was really hard for Will because his relationship with his father was complicated. He loved him, but was also still hurt by the violence from his childhood. When his father died, Will felt both sad and relieved. He was able to forgive his dad and let go of some of the anger he had carried for so long. Will also started having health problems of his own. In 2019, doctors found a growth in his colon that could have become cancer, but they caught it early and removed it. This scared Will because his father had died of cancer, and he worried the same thing might happen to him. He also struggled with his weight and mental health, even admitting that sometimes he had dark thoughts. He started working out more and taking better care of himself, and he wrote a book about his life where he talked honestly about all his struggles and mistakes. Then came March 27th, 2022, the night that changed everything. Will had finally won the Academy Award for Best Actor for his role in King Richard, where he played the father of tennis champions Venus and Serena Williams. This was a moment he had worked toward his whole career. He was finally recognized as one of the best actors in the world. But that same night, something terrible happened. The comedian Chris Rock made a joke about Will's wife Jada's hair. Jada has a condition that causes hair loss, and she had shaved her head. The joke hurt Will's feelings and made him angry. Instead of staying calm, Will got up from his seat, walked onto the stage, and slapped Chris Rock in front of millions of people watching on TV. The whole theater went silent, and everyone was shocked. In just a few seconds, Will went from having the best night of his career to having the worst. The slap was seen by people all over the world, and everyone started talking about it. Will was kicked out of the Academy and banned from attending the Oscars for 10 years. Movie studios stopped working with him, and his reputation was damaged. He apologized many times and said he was wrong, but the damage was done.
Chris, I apologize to you. My behavior was unacceptable, and I'm here whenever you're ready to talk.
People started to see him not as a perfect hero, but as a regular person who made a big mistake when he was angry and hurt. After the slap, Will went through a very difficult time. He was ashamed and embarrassed, and he had to think hard about what he had done. He realized that all his success and fame didn't matter if he couldn't control his emotions. He had to learn how to forgive himself and figure out how to move forward. Slowly, Will started to rebuild his career and his life. In 2024, he made a new Bad Boys movie that was very successful, showing that people still enjoyed watching him in films. He also started making music again for the first time in 20 years, including a song called Beautiful Scars that talked about how his painful experiences had taught him important lessons. Today, Will Smith is 56 years old and lives on a big property in California with lakes, a recording studio, and a basketball court. He's worth between $350 and $400 million. But he's learned that money can't buy happiness or fix relationships. His family is still complicated. He and Jada are still married, but live separately, and they're trying to figure out how to make their relationship work. But his relationships with his children have gotten better. His son Trey, who used to be distant, is now close with Will again. His other children, Jaden and Willow, are successful artists in their own right. Will has learned that being a good father is more important than being a movie star. The most important lesson from Will Smith's life is that even very successful and famous people have problems, make mistakes, and struggle with difficult situations. He went from being a poor kid in Philadelphia to one of the most famous people in the world, but he also faced bankruptcy, divorce, family problems, health scares, and public embarrassment. Through it all, he's learned that real strength comes not from being perfect, but from admitting when you're wrong, learning from your mistakes, and never giving up on the people you love. His story shows us that everyone has scars and painful memories, but those experiences can teach us important lessons and make us stronger if we're willing to learn from them and grow as people.